Welcome back, wrestling fans. It's Hosier and Bear here for WrestlePool After Wrestling. This is our live Monday Night Raw review show. We are live on 3 platforms tonight. We're live on YouTube, we're live on Twitch, and we are live on X for the second night in a row. Bear, happy Monday, Bear.
Happy Monday Night Raw, happy road to WrestleMania, happy road after Revolution, happy, all the happies. What's
All right,
up?
so what's going on? So let's get into the news that we heard earlier. The first inductee into the 2024 WWE Hall of Fame, the Wise Man, the Advocate,
The Wise Man,
the Special Counsel, the true innovator of violence, Mr. the one and only Paul Heyman.
Yeet.
What's your thought,
big news.
Bear?
Right move. This was 100% the perfect move, and the one that I expected for Philly, for what Philly meant to ECW, for what ECW means to Paul, and what it did for Paul's career, and making Paul Heyman who Paul Heyman is. That crowd is going to be absolutely rabid with ECW chants during that. It's going to be a really interesting speech, but this was the perfect, and I really hope, I know he's kind of the first announcement. I don't know if there's anyone bigger for Philly coming. I don't know if there's a bigger name than Paul Heyman tied to Philadelphia and professional wrestling that the WWE is going to induct. And so to me, this might be Paul's night, where Paul's going to get his flowers, and it's going to be his main event for the Hall of Fame that night. So yeah, great pick.
Yeah, I definitely think I'm with you. They really should give him the floor like they gave Taker for the Hall of Fame, and just kind of let him talk to the Philly faithful in Philadelphia, because there is no bigger wrestling name in Philly than Paul Heyman. But normally, like the first and the last, right, are normally the biggest. The first name is normally the headline. You don't start off with like your second or third person for the Hall of Fame. You normally start off with the biggest. So I'll assume that Heyman is the headline, and the only other name I keep hearing is Batista.
Okay.
I don't know if they're going to do that now. Who knows? But that's the only other name I keep hearing that I guess people are just clamoring to have in the Hall of Fame. Absolutely everything you said, 100% right. That there's no bigger name. Can't wait to hear what he has to say, because it is going to be iconic.
Oh, 100%. And I think he's gonna spill the beans on everything. But I mean, not spill the beans on everything, but just like, we're gonna get some great stories that night. I agree. They should give him the floor like they gave Taker. The only thing that would make this better is if it was done in the old, I don't know if the old ECW arena is still standing, but if it is, that is the only thing that would make Paul Heyman's induction better, is if it was done there. And if WWE can pull it off somehow, please do, because that'd be amazing.
Like, his intro segment or something from him standing in the ECW arena. I think the building is still standing.
Yeah. So I would love to see that. I want Paul to listen, people can agree, disagree, whatever. He has said it himself. He's given himself the label, but I think it's hard to argue against. He is the greatest of all time when it comes to professional wrestling managers, mouthpieces, advocate, wise man, like all the things. It is really hard to argue against Paul Heyman's resume when it comes to that. So let's give him what he's owed for what he's done for professional wrestling, and have a great night. And I'd love to see at least something in the ECW arena.
I agree. So that was the news from earlier, and we kicked off Monday Night Raw with a most interesting Cody and Seth promo. It was weird, not gonna lie. They came out, Cody did his thing, talked about The Rock, talked about how he was upset that The Rock talked about his dog, and then Seth came out and Seth felt awkward the entire time. Talking about that The Rock is not relevant, and then he wanted to come up with a new name for The Rock. Did you hear what name he came up with?
No, I did not.
Diarrhea Dwayne. Of all the things, so immediately I went and I'm like, all right. So now at WrestleMania we'll have a tag team of Diarrhea Dwayne and Roman Stains. Like, is that what we're gonna do right now?
I love that. Let's do that. I think that's a great idea.
But they went on. They talked junk. Cody said that they were going to be at SmackDown to give The Rock and Roman Reigns a definitive answer. Seth asked Cody if, that Seth has had Cody's back. Seth has promised Cody that he's not alone in this fight. And Seth asked Cody if he would have his back. And they shook. Cody didn't really answer, I don't think. But that was kind of the gist of the promo. I mean, it was simple. I'm assuming this Friday night, everyone's going to be on SmackDown. And that's where the fireworks will start to make this tag team fight official. But they've kind of given it away because shortly thereafter, they talked about Seth co-main eventing night 2. So clearly, we all know what's going on for night 1, because in most circumstances, you wouldn't have both title matches on the same night of WrestleMania. So the tag team match is definitely happening. It's just going to take getting to SmackDown to make it official.
Right. Which is interesting. It was not interesting. I knew that probably would be what they're going to do, is that they're going to go to SmackDown to make this official, which is fine. Like, cool. Down for that. Would love to see Cody and The Rock and Seth and Roman all face to face with one another. Diarrhea Dwayne's an interesting name. That's
they definitely could have came up with something better for that.
Yeah, they could have come up with something better, but my thing was this, like, I honestly I don't think you need like Cody and Seth maybe didn't even need to be on Raw tonight. Like, let's just get to Friday. Like, we don't need, especially because they absolutely destroyed Dwayne and Roman. What is it, 2 weeks ago now at after the press conference? So maybe a few more weeks than 2 weeks ago, but like that iconic, what is now in my opinion iconic Seth promo, like they absolutely destroyed everything that Dwayne and Roman have been doing in that promo. And so to me, it was almost like, let's leave them off of it. Like, too much, right? Like, let's just send them to SmackDown and let them be on SmackDown and they'll be good. But, I mean, I guess if they're selling out arenas, people want to see Cody Rhodes and Seth Rollins. And that's another question.
14,000 for a Monday Night Raw. They want to see the two top guys on that brand. It wasn't, they didn't advance it further. It was like the Grayson Waller effect. It was nothing crazy like this Friday night. Pardon my language, but the shit hits the fan, right? Well, now it really gets real. So that was kind of the Cody Seth promo. The Gunther Dom Mysterio match. If you get a chance, because you were en route coming home.
Yes, I was. I didn't get to watch it.
Gunther chopped Dominic Mysterio. I think his soul left his body.
Oh my goodness. Poor Dom.
I swear that was the most vicious chop. Gunther treated him like a rag doll tonight. Tossed him around that ring, beat the ever-living hell out of him tonight.
Oh, Dom,
I was actually disappointed. We kind of popped a little bit for a potential Dom Gunther IC title match. We were talking about, I think, our first Raw reaction, how awesome that would be. Clearly not the case. Clearly not the case.
That's sad to me because you know how high we both are on Dom. So that's really sad to me that they're not doing that. Because that would have been a great WrestleMania match. Although I could see something like this happening where Dom got absolutely demolished tonight, and now we got to build him back a little bit to face Gunther, and maybe something happens with JD where Dom has to enter the gauntlet match in place of JD. You know, here's the other here's the other question with all of this. Rhea is 1000% a babyface. Like, let's all stop. We all love Mommy. Mommy's getting cheated everywhere she goes. If you're going to keep Dom tied to Mommy, we have to figure out how to flip Dom. And people love to hate Dom right now. So what's better than flipping Dom than to get him to be absolutely demolished so that we can get him built back up? You know, does this mean that we're going to see kind of a breaking away of the Judgment Day? Possible. We might be seeing that happen before our eyes because of what Rhea is doing and how the crowd is reacting to Rhea. But that's an interesting way to think about why you do that tonight. I'm not happy about it, but at the same time, you know, there's a reason for everything. So we'll just have to wait and see how that plays out.
So you'd mentioned the gauntlet match. So next week it's Sami Zayn, it's Chad Gable, it's Ricochet, Bronson Reed, Shinsuke, and JD McDonough. I believe, and you can give me your opinion, but I believe this comes down to two people. It comes down between Sami and Chad Gable.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. Unless they do something, Judgment Day pulls a fast one to switch JD out for Dom somehow.
Yeah, I don't think Dom has any shot after what I saw tonight. I think it still comes down to Sami and Chad. I mean, Ricochet constantly in these matches, never wins them, just constantly in them.
Unfortunately, yeah.
So do we think of those two, who, you know, do we think either of them has a shot of beating Gunther? Do we think this is the time?
This is 100% the time. Absolutely.
Yeah, I'd have to
This is the time to do it. I think one of them does need to win the title at WrestleMania. Who would it be from? That's actually a really hard. I don't know. That's really hard because either one of them have such great stories to tell right now. Here's the one thing I keep saying it to you that I don't want them to do because of how good that triple threat between Gunther, Drew, and Sheamus was last year. Please don't make this a triple threat with Chad and Sami and Gunther. Because, not saying that it won't be a great match. It will. It will be a great match, but it will never. No, I don't think any triple threat at do that triple threat at Backlash. That's fine. But at WrestleMania, because of how good that match was, there won't be another triple threat with Gunther in it that lives up to that just because of how amazing that match was. Even if it's the great, it's going to be so hard to match that. So I would say don't make it a triple threat, but make it, I think it's Sami. I do at the end of the day think it's Sami.
Yeah. I'm definitely going with Sami. Too big of a name to just keep off the card. And I don't know what other matches there are going to be on the Mania card. So I think Sami Gunther is it. And then after that, we had the Kabuki Warriors are putting in work the next few weeks. So they were here tonight because Shayna Baszler and Zoe Stark got a win versus Chance and Carter.
Right.
So Damage Control entered the ring and gave Shayna Baszler and Zoe Stark a title match for next week. Kabuki Warriors are going to Roadblock tomorrow to face Valkyria and Paxley. Pax.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So they're there, and then they'll be on SmackDown Friday night. They're continuing Io's feud with Bayley. So Kabuki Warriors are everywhere. They're putting in work. Be curious to see their match for Mania. I'm sure that they'll be announcing these matches fast and furious. We still need a U.S. title match. We still need a match for them. And then the men's tag titles. But the Kabuki Warriors are everywhere on wrestling right now.
They are. Wow. They are absolutely everywhere. And it's great. I'm all for it. You got to love Asuka and Kairi and what they bring. I hope that they continue. They should be going to WrestleMania as champions. The
Agreed.
question is, who is their opponent at WrestleMania for their championships? And please, please, please defend the women's titles on WrestleMania. I do not want them on a pre-show. Every single title should be defended on WrestleMania. You have 2 nights to do this. So every single one should absolutely be defended on WrestleMania. So I really hope that they're going to pull the trigger, that they're going to make sure that the women's titles, tag titles are defended on night 1 or night 2 of WrestleMania. The way things are shaping up, if it's true that Seth and Drew will co-main event night 2, that means that we're getting the heavyweight championship and the WWE undisputed WWE Universal, whatever other names it has, championship on both of the, back to back, possibly on that night. That tells me that probably both women's titles will be defended on night 1, which means that the women's tag titles should be defended probably on night 2, right? Like if we're thinking about how we're going to split these up so that I'm thinking that the women's titles are probably tag titles are getting defended on night 2. And yeah, but please just do it. Don't do it on a pre-show.
Do the Andre Battle Royal. Do something else. Do a match.
Right.
Do the tag team showcase. Do a showcase match of any kind on a pre-show. All titles should be on the main card. I completely agree with you. And can we get a match for Regeneration X?
Well, that's interesting. I actually wonder. Regeneration X. R-Truth is a national treasure. Protect them at all costs. That is my PSA for every live stream. But with that said, I do think that, or I wonder, we're getting an announcement about the men's tag titles this coming Friday, apparently. I am really hoping that it's not that we're splitting them up. I am really hoping that we're getting one men's tag title. It's just that they're getting new belts that are, instead of carrying around 2 belts, we're getting just the tag titles. So that's my hope. And with that being said, I think that you might see DIY making, because we had talked about it's either DIY, in my opinion, or the Awesome Truth versus the Judgment Day at WrestleMania for the titles, whoever that is winning them. I love the new Catch Republic, but Pete Dunne and Tyler Bate, but I don't think it's their time yet. So this is very much DIY, or it's the Awesome Truth's opportunity to grab those titles. So I think that's probably what we're doing with the titles, the tag titles at WrestleMania. I know you're going to hate this, but in my opinion, the best thing to do right now, combine the tag titles. There is just one tag title for the men, and then let's bring in the trios titles. Let's just do it, because now you can put tag team wrestling on both shows with 2 tight, not like a Raw branded title and a SmackDown branded title. I'm done with branded titles. Give me a tag team title over here, and then give me trios on the other show, and I'll be happy.
I'm not even going to acknowledge the second part of that, because that is foolish and silly, because it's done nothing for any other promotion. No, it's not going to be Raw SmackDown tag titles. It'll be the WWE Tag Team Champions and the World Tag Team Champions. It'll be very similar to the belts that they have for the men and women singles titles. There's a lot of tag teams, so for me, splitting the tag titles would always be a good idea. I will watch Florida Coast Pro Wrestling before I watch a WWE Trios title match.
It's coming, man.
Trios titles in AEW and ROH stink. They're useless. I don't care about putting more people on the card. They put enough people on the card. Give me tag titles.
Hold on a second. They're useless because of how they're used. Because we put the best wrestlers in the world in a trio and say, okay, here are your trios titles. However, the WWE has done a very good job at building actual trios and creating groups that could actually take trios titles to I think of the Final Testament. I think of Santos Escobar, Angel Garza, and Humberto. Bobby Lashley and the Street Profits,
which need a name, by the way.
They do need a name, but we are getting legitimate trios being built. They're taking the time to actually build trios. And again, it gives guys an opportunity to be on without, and to also start to make names for themselves. Because look at what tag team wrestling has done for singles wrestlers, right? We wouldn't have Shawn Michaels without the Rockers. So, like, I think about stuff like that. And so I think the trios titles are coming. I think they're inevitable. And I'm fine with it at this point.
Yeah, no, absolutely not. And then we get to our main event. I'm not even going to acknowledge that anymore. Boo, trios titles. Kind of feels like they mailed in the main event just to kind of get some interference and whatnot. That could have been a much better wrestling match. So Jay and Drew get into their thing. Solo comes down. Cody comes out. Seth comes out. They further with Jay and Jimmy, and it just kind of becomes a smorgasbord of people furthering their story. No real outstanding wrestling tonight.
No, but we saw the same thing on SmackDown this week.
Yeah, which is very disappointing.
Like, there was nothing. It really is, because they've been on a tear with having really good matches on TV lately. But yeah, 100% like just disappointing because they didn't deliver on like really good wrestling. And so to me, wrestling is still the center of the show. Yes, we need to further storylines and we need to tell good stories and we need to do all of that. But that needs to surround really good wrestling in order for the show to really stand up and be like, this was worth the 3 hours of my life to watch. So
yeah, we can't forego wrestling to build for WrestleMania.
Right.
We have to build for WrestleMania and still be a wrestling show.
Yes.
Because this is 2 shows in a row where wrestling was secondary to promos and just hot mess.
Yeah.
So, and I said it yesterday during our AEW pre and post coverage last night. It's a new era in AEW, and his name is Will Ospreay, and he's bringing the real wrestling back to AEW on a relatively outstanding card, but he just shines above everyone else.
Yeah.
We can't let go of wrestling in WWE, because if that happens, more of that audience, they're going to find this man. They may not know who he is yet, but they're going to find that man. And when they do, it's going to be like, if we can't watch good wrestling here, we are definitely going to go to Wednesday nights and we're going to watch good wrestling there, because you can't have too many more of these shows, WWE, and people not go look for what they want out of a wrestling show, which is good pro wrestling.
Yeah. Yeah. I have a lot of friends who are real wrestlers, and they aren't the biggest fans of Will Ospreay because they don't feel as though they feel it's very much just like it's all the moves, and you do as many moves in as many spots in a match as you can, and that there's no real story to it. But I disagree with that. I really one of the things that I love about Will, or like someone like Jay White, who's in my opinion the best wrestler in the world, or Kenny Omega, Okada, Takeshita, like these guys who are on the up over in AEW, is they do tell really good stories in the ring. I agree, it's a different type of story, and it's probably not the story for the old school wrestling fan, but we just watched WrestleMania 1 through 10, and which is very much for the old school wrestling fan, and it was terrible. It was horrible. There were very few matches that were like incredibly good, or like it was just so bad. So yes, I agree. The casual audience is going to figure out who Will Ospreay is, They're going to become enamored by him. He's going to elevate other people on that roster, and then AEW may actually compete again with WWE.
Yeah, there's what I saw last night. If they don't know who he is, they will know, and he is going to single-handedly start to move eyeballs from Mondays and Fridays to Wednesdays and Saturdays for sure. All right, so to kind of round this out, we are live a lot this week there. So tonight we're here talking Raw. We kind of deviated to talk a little Will Ospreay, but it never hurts to talk Will Ospreay. Tomorrow night we'll be here for the review of NXT Roadblock. Wednesday, to me, a new era starts in AEW. Hopefully, we get our post-Revolution edition of Dynamite. Hopefully, Thursday we'll have some recorded content back to our table discussions with one another. And then Friday night we'll be live post SmackDown, which will be probably a 55-minute Bloodline segment this Friday night. So we are hitting the ground running. We are moving closer and closer to WrestleMania. Any final thoughts on the week to come, Bear?
No, I'm excited about the week to come. Be here, subscribe to WrestlePool wherever you're at, wherever you're watching. We're on the road to WrestleMania, and a lot of things are heating up in the pro wrestling world. So wrestling is cool again, not because of Dwayne, but because wrestling is back, and it's going to be bigger than ever. So stick with us during the week. Stick with us through WrestleMania, and that's it.
All right. That's Bear. I'm Hosier, and this is WrestlePool after Monday Night Raw. We'll see you for life.